Hello, my name is Mark, and welcome to Continuing Education. I'm going to be going over graphs and linear functions. Before I start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed, and if you would like more free test prep, and make sure to check out all my playlists that I've curated just for you. I do have an announcement. I do offer free 20-minute calls from 3 to 4 o'clock on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I used to offer tutoring, but I don't want to do that anymore. I want to solely focus on creating this library of free content for you. And what else do I have? Just watch my gaming stuff. All right, let's begin. Let's start with graphing. What is this? This is what we call the Cartesian plane. Okay, whenever you see a graph like this, this is called the Cartesian plane. But honestly, who cares? The Cartesian plane is made up of 4 quadrants. We have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, and that's it. And then we have the x and the y axis. The x-axis over here is positive. The x-axis to the left is negative. The y-axis from the origin, where the x and y cross, from the origin and up is positive, and then from the origin down is negative. I did mention that over here, where the x and the y axis cross or intersect, that is the origin, and that has the ordered pair 0, 0. Okay? And then what I do want to mention is that in quadrant 1, we will have positive x and y values. In quadrant 2, we will have a negative x value. You see we have negative over here. And then we will have positive y values over here. Okay? Quadrant 3 has both negative x values and negative y values. And then quadrant 4 will have positive x values and then negative y values. Okay? Screenshot this. This is important. How we would read a graph. So let's just use the ordered pair 4, 8. And this is an ordered pair. Okay? This just means this right here, x and y. The 4 is on the x-axis and the 8 is on the y-axis. So I would go to my 4 over here, and I'm just going to put a little dot there for you. And then I'm going to go to my 8 over here, and this is not where our dots go. Well, I made a star. Okay. I don't know how I make those shapes. They just happen. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line to where it does go. Okay, and then this right here, this x, that beautifully placed x, is where 4, 8 goes. Okay, so I'm going to erase all this, and I'm just going to put the point on the graph. Okay, right here. 4, 8 is right here. That's where I would put the point. That's where we would put the point, 4, 8. Now, let's put another ordered pair or coordinate on the graph. Okay, I'm going to go -4, -8. I'm going to do the opposite. Okay, and where does this ordered pair lie? In quadrant 3. Because we have a negative number or a negative x value and a negative y value. So we're going to put this somewhere in quadrant 3. So I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to go to my x-axis and I read the x-axis first, okay? And then I read the y-axis second. So I would go -4 over here, and then I would go up or down 8, okay? And then that's my point right here. And then I have 2 points, right? If I connect them together, okay, then I have a linear function, okay? Connecting these 2 dots creates a linear function, or just a straight line. And from this straight line, we could find the slope, okay? Rise over run. And then we could find where the line intersects the y-axis, or what we would call the y-intercept. Okay? We'll continue on to the next slide for linear functions. All right? So we have linear functions. Linear functions are written in y equals mx plus b, where m equals the slope and b equals the y-intercept. Okay? What is a positive slope? So a positive slope is just when you would go up from left to right. And it's something like this. That is a positive slope. You need to be able to identify this. And I like to put my arrows here just to say that this line goes infinitely up like this and infinitely down like this. Okay, that's why I put the arrows. So what about a negative slope? A negative slope, it falls from left to right, like this. Okay, this is a negative slope. All right, and slope is written like this. It's written m equals rise. Rise over run. The change in y over the change in x. And this equation will pop up, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this is where we grab 2 ordered pairs, we plug them into this equation, and then we get m, or our slope. And I will demonstrate that in the next slides. But this is what I want you to know. I want you to know this equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And slope is the change of y over the change of x. So let's go ahead and demonstrate right now. So I have, let's say I pick this point right here. It doesn't matter. I pick this point and I pick this point. Okay. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went up, I rose 4 units, and then I went to the right 4 units. And this is wrong how I did it, how I picked the coordinates, but this is what I want you to grasp, rise over run. If you have a negative slope, right? If you have a negative slope, and then I'm just going to put 2 coordinates on the graph, it doesn't matter. So you would go down actually, and then across. So from this slide, I just want you to grasp that m equals the slope, b equals the y-intercept, where the line crosses y, the vertical line. And I want you to know what a positive slope is, and a positive slope is this, or that's a negative slope, sorry. A positive slope rises left to right like this, okay? And then a negative slope goes like this. All right? And then let's say you have a wonky equation like this, okay? I call it wonky equations, but they're not called wonky equations, all right? That's just what I call them. But let's say you get a wonky equation like this. Well, how can I change it or manipulate it to where we could have y equals mx plus b? And we just have to do some algebra. So let's go do some algebra. 8y plus 3x minus 4 equaling 0. Well, I will just plus 4, and I will minus 3x. And I'm going to get 8y equals minus 3x plus 4. And then I'm going to erase this. And I'm going to divide by 8, right? Divide by 8. I don't like writing outside, so let me just rewrite everything again. Okay, so we have 8y equals minus 3x plus 4. And I'm going to divide by 8, divide by 8, and divide by 8. And then I get y equals negative 3 over 8x plus, and then what is this simplified? It's 1/2. 1/2. Okay, and this now, this equation can be put on this graph. And we will go over those. So now that's just a brief overview of graphing and linear functions. So let's go ahead and go to the questions. So I have here, a linear function is defined as follows. Y equals 3x minus 4. Which statement best describes the graph of this function? Okay, so from here, let's identify our m, which is our slope. And our slope is 3. And then let's identify our y-intercept. And our y-intercept is negative 4. So we could just write this down. M equals 3, and then b equals negative 4. So let's go ahead and read our answer choices. The line falls from left to right and crosses the y-axis at 4. Okay, so it says falls. So it's saying negative, right? It falls from left to right. This is a negative slope. A is a negative slope. And what do we have? We have a positive slope. So we could eliminate this answer choice. Also, further eliminating this, it says it crosses the y-axis at 4. Well, our b, our y-intercept, is at negative 4, not 4. So that means further, that just means A is incorrect. So let's go read B. The line rises from left to right. Okay, it rises and crosses the y-axis at negative 4. Oh, that could be it. I think that's it. So it rises from left to right. Okay, it's a positive slope. It doesn't specify what the slope is. It just tells us that it rises from left to right. And then it crosses the y-axis at negative 4. And that's what our function does. It crosses at negative 4. So I'm just going to put an asterisk next to it, and we'll go back to that. So it says the line rises from left to right. Okay, it rises from left to right and crosses the y-axis at 4. Well, this is wrong because it says it crosses the y-axis at 4 when we're looking for a negative 4. So we've disproved C. And it says here, the line falls from left to right, and that makes it a negative slope, and crosses the y-axis at negative 4. So this could have been right, but it says not crosses, but it says it falls from left to right. So that means it's negative, and that means it's wrong. So B is our correct answer. And I do have the directions, the steps on how to get the right answers. So let's go ahead and bring this to the back. And then step 1, we identify the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Okay, m equals slope, and in our case, m equals 3. B equals the y-intercept. In our case, b equals negative 4. So identify the slope and y-intercept, and we've done that. M equals 3 and b equals -4. And it says here, a positive slope means the line rises, right? It rises from left to right. Okay, this means the graph crosses the y-axis at -4, and that is our b. And then the answer choice is B, the line rises from left to right and crosses the y-axis at -4. So all I did for this question is I just designed it for you to identify M and also B. That's it. This one's super easy, and it
won't be on the test.
This most definitely will not be on the test, but it's just to get you some confidence because the next questions will be difficult. Okay, question number 2. So we have the same linear function. A linear function is defined as follows: y equals 3x minus 4. Which graph represents the function above? So, and in this case, now we're going to graph, or we have a series of graphs, and we have to identify what we have to match this linear function to the graph. Okay, so off the bat, we could eliminate C because C is a sideways parabola, and we could just get rid of these. Okay, this is a linear function, and this is a sideways parabola. So off the bat, when you're taking the test, just get rid of this. Okay. So now I'm going to look at the y-intercept, okay, -4. And if I look at my intercepts here for A, I see it's at 4, okay? I think I'm going to have to zoom in when I edit this, but I see that it's at 4. And then I could eliminate this because that is not -4. So then I get to B, and I see it's also at 4. And I'm looking for a -4. So I could eliminate this. And then I get to D, and I do see it's at -4. And if I did have another graph to reference, I would check the slope by just counting the rise over run, right? So I would go 1, 2, let's see, it's just a little small for me. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, and that's 3 over 1, which does equal just 3. And this is a positive slope because it goes from left to right. It rises from left to right. And D is our correct answer. Again, I don't think something like this will be on the test, or this will be on the test, but it's going to be much harder. Now we're going to see some like test questions, okay? So, a linear function is defined as follows. This is question number 3. 6x plus 3y equaling -12. Which of the following choices represents the same relationship as the given function? Okay, for this question, for this function, okay, I'm going to change it to y equals mx plus b. And to do that, we start with 6x plus 3y equaling -12, okay? And then I'm going to not do that actually. I'm going to minus 6x minus 6x. That's going to give us 3y equaling -6 minus 12. And I'm going to divide everything by 3, giving me y equals, what is -6 divided by 3? That is going to be -2x, bring over the x. And then what is -12 divided by 3? And that is -4. Okay, so we have our equation. Y equals -2x minus 4. So, just from looking at our function here, we know that this is a negative slope, right? And negative slopes, they fall from left to right. So we could eliminate B, okay? Because this rises from left to right. This has a positive slope, even though that the y-intercept is correct at -4. Now, what I'm going to do here with these tables is I'm going to plug in a few ordered pairs into my equation. And if they match, then it could be the right answer. But let's just look before we start plugging in anything. So I do see on C that I have 0, -3. 0, -3 is the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. And in our case, we're looking for a -4. So C has 0, -3. That is not -4. So we could eliminate this choice. We could eliminate answer choice B and C. Now I have D, and D does have 0, -4. It does check out for the y-intercept. So I'm just going to write this right here so I have some room to write. -2x minus 4. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to plug in -2 and 2. So I'm going to go plug it in. 2 equals -2 minus 2 minus 4. Okay, so I have, oops, I did something wrong here. Oh no, I did something right. I did it right. Okay, now I'm just going to do math. So I go 2 equals, what is -2 times -2? That is 4. And then minus 4, 2 equaling 0. And remember, -2 times a -2, it does equal a positive 4. And then the positive 4 and the -4 cancel out. And then I have 2 equaling 0, and that does not equal each other. So we could count this one out. Okay, and that leaves us with A. A is the correct answer. And just from working everything out, if I were taking the test, I would already just click A, I would circle A and leave. But for the sake of this video, let's see why it is A. And I'm going to figure out the slope. So I think it was y equals, was it -2x minus 4? I think it was that. So I put coordinates here. I put 2 ordered pairs. And what I would do in this case, when they do that, I would go m equals, and then I'm going to make this -4 y2. Okay. And then I'm going to make this 0 y1. And then I'm going to make this 0 over here x2. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The handwriting's so bad, but it's like really small. x2. And then I'm going to make this 2 over here, -2 x1. So remember our equation, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So in our case, we have -4 minus 0 over 0 minus -2. Okay, m equals, and then you have -4 over 2 equals -2. And that does match our slope in the equation. Now we just look at our graph 2 and we see that the y-intercept is at 0, -4. And that clarifies that this is the correct answer. The slope and the y-intercept match. So A is correct. Okay. Any questions, leave them in the comments below or just email me. Okay. Consider the table. Okay. We have X and Y, and we have a few coordinates. We have a few ordered pairs. All right. Remember, the ordered pairs are written like this. So for the first one, we have 10 and then 75. Okay. Not to be confused there. All right. Okay. Which of the following choices represents the same relationship as the given function? Okay. So the first thing I would do here, given this table, is I would write down y equals mx plus b. And I do have I have several ordered pairs here. And what I would do first is I would find the slope. Y equals the change of y, okay, over the change of x. And that's y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. And what I would do first, if you're just starting out, I would label these, okay? So I'm going to write this in orange, and I'm going to make 89 y2. Oh my God, it looks like a 1. So I'm going to make this y2, and I'm going to make 75 y1. And then I'm going to make this 12 x2 and make this 10 x1. So let's just plug everything in. So this equals, what is y2? That's 89. What's y1? 75. 89 minus 75 over the change of x, which is 12 minus 10. What does that equal? What is 89 minus 75? What is 9 minus 5? That is 4. And then what is 8 minus 1 or 7? And that equals 1. And then 12 minus 10 is 2. And then we simplify this further and we get m equals 7. All right, that is our slope. Now we have y equals 7x plus b. Now let's find b. And in order to do that, we need to choose one of these points, plug them in our equation with our slope to find b. So let's choose this one right here, 16 and 117, okay? Y is 117. So I'm going to put 117 equals, for my Halo fans out there, Master Chief, 117 equals, and then m equals 7, times x, which is 16, plus b. Okay, what is 7 times 16? And I'm going to do that over here. 16 times 7, that is 2, 4, 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So I have 112. And I go 117 equals 112 plus b. And then I am going to minus 112, minus 112, and that equals 5, equaling b. And I like to write it like this, b equaling 5. And you could do that. So we have our y-intercept, b equaling 5, and then we have our slope, m equals 7. So our full equation, and I'm going to write this in orange, is y equals 7x plus 5. That is our equation. Now, I wrote the answer choices in word format to mess with your head.
Because I like you guys.
So this tripped me out the most, okay, out of all these graphing problems, was just deciphering the word problems or the word formatted answer choices. So we have y is equal to 7 times x plus 5. And let me just erase this so we could, so I could write down my thought process. Okay. So I have y is equal to 7. Okay, let me just write this. Y is equal, so we have this part, and it says 7 times x, okay, times x plus 5. And whoopity-doo, this is the correct answer. What a challenge, guys. Okay. That's what this means, but let's just go over each and one of them so we get a hang of this. So y, it's a, guys, okay, it's a. Y is equal, okay, I'm going to read b. Y is equal to 5 times, so 5 times the value of x, okay, I did that, 5 times the value of x, minus 7. That's what that means. And then I have y is equal to 7 times x. So again, y is equal to 7 times x minus 5. And that's what we have here. And then y is equal to 5 times 5 multiplied, and I'm going to put a dot here to multiply, okay? Multiplied times x plus 7, so we have plus 7. So I just want you guys to get used to reading these type of answer choices, and they're going to come up as questions too as well, okay? These will trip you up. Maybe they won't, but they did trip me up. So that's how you would read them. Okay, this would be y equals 5x plus 7. Okay, that's what we would do. But the answer is A. Okay, moving on. Any questions? No? That's okay. Question number 5. Consider the following graph. Which of the following options is true regarding the gold line only? So there are 2 lines here, and the only line I need to focus on is the gold one. Okay? So I do see that there is a y-intercept at 3. So I'm just going to write that down. B equaling 3. And I do not know the rise over run, but I know that this is a negative slope because it falls from left to right. Excuse me. So I'm going to choose, actually, I'm going to zoom in while I edit, but let's choose this point right here. This is at -1. I'm going to choose this one. And I'm also going to choose this one right here at 1, 1. Okay, so I have -1 and I have 5, and then I have 1, 1. So I'm going to go, this is the, remember, it's rise over run. So I'm going to go down, actually. So I'm going to go down 1, down 2, down 3, down 4, and I have 4. Okay. And I'm going to go to the right. Let's see how many times. 1, 2. Okay. 2. So that gives us 4 over 2, and that's 2. And it's a negative, right? So I'm going to write it as a negative. I believe just from looking at this graph right now, the equation for the gold line is y equals -2x plus 3. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at our answer choices here. So this line crosses at 2, which is wrong because our line crosses at 3. The gold line crosses at 3. The blue line on this graph does cross at 2, but we are looking for the gold line only. Okay. Now let's check out B. Or let's just check out C and D before I move on to B. Y is equal to -3x plus 2. This has the same slope and the same intercept point with the y-axis. And no, because I see here -3x, well, I have -2x. And then also the kicker here, I know for sure that the y-intercept is at +3, not +2. So I could get rid of this. And then it says here 4x plus 2y equaling 4 has the same slope and the same intercept point with the y-axis. So before I start this, before I test this answer choice, I have to put it into y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to do that here. 4x plus 2y equaling 4. And I'm going to minus 4x. That gives me 2y equaling -4x. And that is plus 4. Divide everything by 2. Divide everything by 2. That gives me y is equal to -2x plus 2. Almost had it there because our slope is -2 and our slope here is -2. However, our y-intercept is at 2 for answer choice D, and our y-intercept for sure is at 3. Okay, so I would eliminate this. And that gives me B. And again, if I were taking the test and I was working out the problem, I would have already chosen B. Okay, but for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and see why it is answer choice B. And in order to do that, we need to find the slope using these ordered pairs. So m equals, and I'm going to choose this as y2 and choose this as y1, and this is x2, and this as x1. So it's the change of y over the change of x. So 5 minus 7 over -1 minus -2, and this equals -2 because 5 minus 7 is -2, and this, remember, a negative with a negative equals a positive, so it's -1 plus 2, and that equals 1, and that will give us -2, and that is our slope, our change of y over the change of x. And now that we have that, we don't know if the y-intercept is at 0, 3, right? What we're left with is just y is equal to -2x plus b. And what can I do to find b? Well, I could plug one of the points. So I'm just going to choose 1 and 1. Okay? So let's just do that right here in the corner here. So 1 equals -2, 1 plus b. And then I have 1 equals -2 plus b. And then I'm just going to add 2 on both sides. And then what is 1 plus 2? That equals 3. And that equals b. And then b equaling 3. And that further proves that b is our answer. Okay? First, what I did was I found the change of y over the change of x, which is the slope. And then I put one of these ordered pairs inside the equation, back inside y equals mx plus b, given the slope. And then all those numbers plugged in gave me the y-intercept, which is b equaling 3. Okay? That's how you get the answer. All right. Question number 6. All right, here we go. Which of the following graphs represents the following two linear equations? So I have 4x plus 6y equaling 15. I also have 5x minus 3y equaling 12. So, given these two linear equations, what would I do first? Well, I would change these to y equals mx plus b. I would isolate y. So, for the first one, I have 4x plus 6y equaling 15. And what I would do is I would minus 4x, and then I would have 6y equals negative 4x plus 15. And then I would divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6, and you get this nasty looking equation here. Okay, these cancel out. Okay, and then I'm going to write the simplified form on the top. So I have y is equal to negative 4 over 6, right? That could be reduced to negative 2 over 3 because all I did was divide the top and the bottom by by 2, not negative, but just by 2. Okay, I'm going to make this say 3. Okay, and then how can this be reduced? 15 divided by 6. Well, I could divide both sides, or both the top and the bottom, by 5. And that would give me, or not 5, I am sorry, by 3. That would give me 5, because 15 divided by 3 is 5. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then that's our equation for this. And this actually, 5 divided by 2, that's an easy one, okay? That equals 2.5, okay? So I'm going to write it like this. Y equals negative 2 over 3 plus 2.5. And the reason why I'm writing it 2.5 is because that is our y-intercept. And that's just so much easier to look at on a graph. Okay, so we have that. Let's go ahead and isolate y for the second equation. And then we have 5x minus 3y equaling 12. I would minus 5x. Minus 5x, that would give us negative 3y equals minus 5x plus 12. And that would divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. And let's just erase this so I could go on further. And then I have y is equal to, what is negative 5 divided by negative 3? That is a positive number. The negatives cancel out. So we just have 5 over 3x, and then 12 divided by negative 3, and that equals negative 4. So now this goes to negative 4. So our second equation is y equals 5 over 3x, and I forgot an x over here, so let me just add that there, minus 4. Okay, so now that we have our two equations isolated for y, so we have y equals mx plus b terms, now let's look at our graphs. What do we notice with our equations? Well, one of them has a negative slope, and one of them has a positive slope. And then our y-intercepts are 2.5, positive 2.5, and negative 4. So off the bat, we could just get rid of this one right here because this shows two parallel lines and they're falling left to right, meaning they are negative slopes. Well, we have one positive slope. Okay, so we could get rid of this because I don't see a positive slope. Now, let's look at our graphs even further. And I see here that this one has the y-intercept at positive 4. And we have a negative 4. This also has a y-intercept at about 2.5. I'm going to say it's 2.5. But the thing is, we have a negative 4, not a positive 4. So I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm actually going to make this contrast it in orange. Okay. I think that's easier to see, right? Is that easier to see? Hopefully. So I got rid of A and I got rid of C. Now, what about B? So I have the slope or not the slope, but I do have a negative slope and I do have a positive slope, and that's good. However, I do have the y-intercept at negative 4, which is okay, and I have it at negative 2.5, which is not okay because we have a positive 2.5. So I'm going to get rid of B. And that gives us D. That is the correct answer. Why? Well, look at here. Lookity hookity. We have a y-intercept, a positive y-intercept at, I don't think you would call it a positive y-intercept, but you have a y-intercept which is positive at 2.5. And then I have a y-intercept, a negative intercept at negative 4. Again, I said it wrong. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I do have the line crossing at negative 4, and I do have those here. Those match. And then to go a step further, we could check the slopes. Let's just check if they're positive and they're negative. So I have one going from left to right, falling left to right, and this is the one crossing at 2.5, and it's negative. So that checks out. And then I have one here that's 5, rise over run, 5 over 3, but I'm not going to check that yet. It's a positive slope, so I have it as a positive slope, and it's crossing the y-axis at negative 4, and that's correct. To go a step further, let's just check this one, the rise over run on this one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. And then I have 1, 2, 3. And that checks out. I love it when it checks out. That means I did the problem correctly. And then we have negative 2 over 3. So then let's just choose a point. This one's going to be hard, so I'm not going to choose a point. But D is the correct answer. Okay? Let's go ahead and move on to question number 7. Consider the following. Oh, we have a word formatted question. Y is equal to 5 less than 3/4 of the value of X. Now, hold on. I have to pee. Oh, what's this? Chess key? I have to go. Oh! What? What was that, man? I hope you enjoyed whatever I put on while I went to the bathroom. So, let's go ahead. Question number 7. Y is equivalent to 5 less than 3/4 of the value of X. Now, this is a word formatted question. So let's just go ahead and write it down. Y is equal is just Y is equal, Y is equivalent to 5 less. So 5 less is minus 5, okay? 5 less than 3/4, 3/4, okay? 3/4, so that's a positive 3/4, 3/4 of the value of X. So there you have it. Now I'm going to just rearrange the equation where the slope is over here. So y is equal to 3/4 x minus 5. And that is our equation that we're going to be working with. So I'm going to write this at the top so I have room to write. So I have y is equal to 3/4 x minus 5. Okay. All right. So let's look at, let's try C first. Let's try C. And C, I do see that the y-intercept is at 0, -5, which is great. But let's just further audit this table by finding the change, which is the slope. So I'm going to choose this one as y2, and this one as y1, and then x2, and then x1. So I'm going to go -9 minus 13 over -3 minus -6. And this, remember, these are plus. This is a plus. So now I have -9 plus 13, m equals, and that is 4 over, and then I have -3 plus 6, and that equals 3. And this is our change. M equals 4 over 3. Does that match 3 over 4? No, it does not. So C is incorrect. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's start with, let's see, -5, right? Well, I have a y-intercept at 0, 5. So that does not equal -5. I need 0, -5 as my ordered pair. And this, folks, is incorrect. Now let's try A. Okay, well, I put 2 points here on purpose so you can test the slope or figure out the slope. And then I do see that I have the y-intercept at -5. Also, I do see that we have a positive slope, exactly what we want. Let's see if I could just eyeball it without doing the equation. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That's 4 over 3, giving us the incorrect slope, and A is wrong. Okay, now I'm going to try this. Hopefully I can eyeball it and get it right. So I'm looking for 3 over 4. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that, folks, 3 over 4 is our answer. But let's go a step further, okay? I want you to get used to doing this, where I have m equals, and then y2 minus y1, over x2 minus x1, which is the change of y over the change of x. So in this graph, I have 8, 1. So I'm going to make this 1 the y2. So 1 minus, and I'm going to make this negative 2 the y1. So negative 2 over 8, okay, that's my x2, and then 4 minus 4. M equals, what is this? 1, and now it's plus 2, that equals 3. What is 8 minus 4? That equals 4. And that is our slope, 3 over 4. And our y-intercept is at 0, negative 5, making B the correct answer. And folks, that concludes the continuing education for graphs and linear functions. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that this helps you. If you are ready to tackle more problems, or if you're ready to just take the practice test that I have, the full-length practice test, go ahead and take that. Take that one, take practice test 1 first, and then take practice 2. And then after that, just find more topics that you're struggling with and find the specific video in my course and just watch that and do the problems. Okay? If you want more problems, just let me know in the comments below. I am doing my best to push out as much free content as I can, and that is why I decided not to do any tutoring anymore. So make sure to like this video again, subscribe to the channel, and check out all my gaming stuff. I will see you on the next video. Bye.